Title: Lab Access for Wheelchair Users. Lab Bench. Kayden is in a biochem lab wearing goggles and a lab coat. He uses a rigid manual ultralight wheelchair to navigate the space. Since he's using a low-level lab bench, it's easy for him to find all of the objects he needs. Once he removes a trash can, it's much easier for him to roll closer to the table and find more objects. He can use a microscope and a graduated cylinder easily because he can reach the top of the cylinder compared to if he used a high-level lab bench. Carrying supplies. Kayden fills up a beaker with water at the sink and then places the beaker in between his legs so he can use his hands to roll. However, the beaker could fall out, so instead he uses an autoclave plastic tub, so that way he can place a beaker on top of his lap, and if water spills, it just goes in the tub. The tub sits on his lap. Storing supplies. Kayden attempts to put a beaker on the top level shelf because that's where the other beakers are stored, but he can't reach the top shelf. So he has to ask Caroline to put the beaker on the shelf for him. But this isn't really the best solution because Kayden's always going to have to ask for help. A better idea would be to put all of the glassware that Kayden needs on a low-level shelf. So that way he can get the objects he needs without assistance. He places the objects in the tub. Incubators. Kayden opens up a top-loading incubator, but can only reach the section closest to him. He can't reach the areas to put in flasks that are farther away. This isn't really ideal because he might need to have more flasks than just one. So instead, he uses an incubator that's front-loading where the door opens towards him. Here, he can reach all of the places where flasks are stored. He then places the flask inside the autoclave tub. Navigating the space. When Kayden attempts to roll down a pathway, there is an electrical cord in the way, so he has to go over the cord. It would be better if a cord was just pushed to the side so that way the pathway is clear. What's great about the cold room is that there's a ramp going up towards it, so Kayden could go inside. Eye wash and shower. Kayden attempts to use an eye wash station, but it's in between two freezers, and there's not enough space for him to roll his wheelchair in between them. He finds another eye wash, and while there's more clearance, it's still pretty tight. When he tries to use the emergency shower, he can't reach the handle because it's too high. It would be better to have the handle be longer.